lot of people have been emailing the commissioner's office with your complaints, which you're absolutely free to do. Just so everyone knows, when the email comes into the commissioner's office, it gets funneled to me and then it gets funneled to Caitlin. So if you want to reach out directly to Caitlin, that would be the most direct way to get in contact with the project team. You can do it however you wish. You're always free to contact your commissioner or contact me, but we're sending the complaints through Caitlin, so there's a unified response to those complaints, and so that everyone is aware of the complaints that we're receiving.
Yes. I guess, did we take questions or? That would be appropriate. All right. Fantastic. Okay. I could take some questions. I guess, do we use the mic?
Few items. Number one, that little blurb that y'all send gets in the Eagle every week is totally useless. It's like nebulous what it says. Number two, I had written to FDOT when they put all those wonderful sea grape trees over by Burnt Store coming into Matlacha, and about the size of them in a small area. And they only had 3 or 4 at that time, and now they've got like 25. I did get beautiful responses back that basically said, oh, this has been all through the channels and everybody's approved this. Well, it's still stupid. Sea grapes get big, and they're going to be going into the westbound traffic, and you're going to have to cut them. So why put them in the first place, which is what I was trying to get through to the guy at FDOT that I spoke with. So I don't know what you guys got to say about that, number one. But on the bridge itself, the lack of clear, up-to-date information is terrible. You give us these generalizations. And when I spoke to one of the ladies at FDOT, I'll put you on the mailing list so you get the up-to-date information. Never get on it. So something is happening at your office that's not giving us good information. The best thing that you could do, in my opinion, is give us a percentage. You got 100% project. You have a timeline. We have no idea where you are in that percentage. Are you 1% done? That's what it seems like to everybody. The cost to us in time, which can never be replaced, is enormous. And if you got to get the contractor to put even more people on, then you should do so. When they widened I-75 back a number of years ago, it was a bonus for the contractor. $15 million if he got done ahead of time. Guess what happened? He was ahead of time like 8 months, I think. So here's my suggestion. Get your contractor, let's get this thing going, because it is killing us. An hour to go each way for basic necessities we have to do off island? Why? What's going on with the contractor?
Can I ask one clarifying question? So you brought up about the Eagle. Do you know what type of information is being sent to the Eagle, or are they just kind of using a standard post in the newspaper?
I know they were posting the weekly Road Watch report. However, and I know that was obviously has been very, consistent and not stayed the same, but we do send different updates every single week. So I can check to see that they're getting the update that we're sending out every week.
Yeah, maybe if that might just be where the shortfall is on that.
Because it is changing every single week. It's not the same update.
There's also, the Eagle publishes at a different time frame. So I don't know I don't know what that deadline is. Betsy can help you with that from the county PIO team. But it would be helpful probably that if the deadline is Tuesdays for them to publish on a Friday, I think, which I seen it's Thursday.
The deadline
Wednesday evening,
the deadline
Thursday.
to get the information to the Pine Island Eagle is Wednesday. for the following Wednesday. So they're a weekly,
Right.
they put out a week ahead.
So
So that
just-
might be part of the issue.
So just so you know, it's gonna be a week late.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that's okay, but it doesn't tell us anything. We,
Yeah, yeah,
if you can get us a percentage of where you are, at least we have a better idea that you're 1% done, which is what it seems like again. Right? I mean, that's what we're fighting, you know? So this is gonna be helpful, so we're not always constantly writing to Commissioner Rowan, who's excellent, and getting the information to you, but it's not coming back to us. And we're the ones suffering. You guys, I don't know how long it took you to come across the bridge today, but earlier in the day was an hour each way, and that's totally unacceptable in this day and age.
So from the county's perspective, I just want to. There have been dramatic improvements in the amount of information that Caitlin has been putting out. You know, the state has really worked hard to notify the public on a weekly basis, and I find the information that Caitlin's been sharing on Fridays, we're getting them on Fridays, is extremely informative and helpful now. The information that we were providing earlier through the project, I'll admit to you, and I think that's part of the team's response to the complaints that we've been getting, is we've been trying to give you as much information as we possibly can. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, driving by now and seeing the pictures that are included in the updates every week, you can start to see bridge decks, you can start to see caps, like things are really coming together. So we understand the sentiment and we appreciate the sentiment, we really do. You know, this bridge was going to be replaced in 2027 if it wasn't replaced now. And the whole crux of this project starting now was, while Matlacha and Pine Island are in the rebuild mode, let's go ahead and take all the pain at once and fix this bridge once and for all now, instead of waiting until 2027 when many of you had reconstructed your houses, your businesses were all reopened, and then come in and do this exact same project in 2027. So I want everyone to understand that bridge had to be replaced, whether FDOT was doing it for us right now or whether the county was doing it in 3 years.
Well, that's great, and we understand that. My next issue is the inability for mobile homes, which is a lot of the product on the island, to cross the bridge without paying $15,000 to lift up and bring over. There's over 100 houses that are waiting, and mine is one of them, to get on the island. I'm looking at $15,000, $30,000 to bring my home over. You don't, why? Did that ever figure into your planning?
It absolutely did. The unfortunate part is we had to sever the bridge in the middle. So what was left is the width that's there. We worked tirelessly on a plan to try to help accommodate getting the mobile homes over and getting the wide loads over. It is obviously extremely difficult to get a load that's wider than the footprint of the bridge. This was going to be a problem again. Now, 2027, it is one of these things that is an unfortunate byproduct of us having to replace this bridge. But we've been working with any potential builder that is wanting to bring materials over. There's a permit process. They coordinate with the Lee County DOT team on an oversized load permit. We can schedule those types of things so that we can get you through at night and have less impact to the people. Our biggest concern was these mobile homes are going to be getting moved across the bridge during the middle of the day, and it was going to cause havoc to the rest of the travelers. And so we specifically set up a plan to have this done at night.
That's great, but the cost to us is phenomenal.
Understood.
And that, does it have to be, is my question. You know, there was 4x8 sheets of steel on each end of the bridge. The one on the east end is gone, the one on the west end is still there. Is that what's stopping it, or is it just the Jersey barriers that if we want to get homes across, why can't those be moved? for the weekend so they can deliver homes on the weekend.
Just in terms of the footprint of the bridge, like Rob was talking about, you can't remove the walls because now you've got an unsafe condition. You can't have cars, vehicles traveling without traffic barrier. So that would be the concern there.
We can't widen it so we can get them home?
We cannot. We actually looked into an acro bridge. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but it's a
No.
pre-manufactured bridge. It's used as phase construction, so
Mhm.
if it's a candidate, you put that out there. It's erected pretty quickly. I've used them previously. Unfortunately, in this scenario, we did not have the real estate to fit that, and that's where we were, and that's why we are where we are, unfortunately. So
Okay.
I hear your concerns, and we feel for you, and we get it.
So can you commit to giving us a percentage in that beautiful every week update of where you are? So
I
we can
can-
get it, you know, if it's
Yeah.
1% like it seems, is it 2, whatever it is.
I can run that up. Obviously, we work for FDOT, and we can talk about that. I'd give you some words of caution. A lot of times, the percentage earned doesn't indicate the percentage complete. It is a good use of a reference point, but let's say the dollar amount comes out to a certain percentage. That doesn't mean that's where you are, especially for what you guys are looking for phase one. But I will say phase one has really took a turn. I'm sure everybody can agree to that in the last few weeks, months. Work has really picked up. You're seeing the decks put in now, and it's going to continue. And I understand your frustration. I see you guys. I'm frustrated. You know, we drive this bridge as well. We're in traffic. I get it. I don't get it to your extent. You guys are residents. I completely appreciate that. But
And
we
my
get it.
last question is, what is spring? Is that? Huh? Yeah.
So, look, if you'll indulge me for a minute. First off, I don't want to forget about one of your questions, the sea grape question.
Totally insane.
So FDOT would have nothing to do with sea grapes that are on Pine Island Road west
That's
of
a state
Burnt
road.
Store.
That's why I wrote to FDOT.
Pine Island Road west of Burnt Store and Veterans, between Veteran and Burnt Store and Pine Island, is a county road.
Well, they wrote back to me and said this had been approved by all the different layers. There were four or
So-
five different layers.
I don't have a card on me, but I'm sure somebody here I can give you my email address. If you want to send me directly information regarding the sea grapes, I
Yeah.
will track it down and try to chase down an answer for you. I don't know if that's part of a development request, development order. I'm not sure.
No,
I
because
appreci-
the land is owned where that pond is, as you come in off of Burnt Store, that is all owned by the county.
Right.
But
So
I wrote
if-
FDOT in that because I thought that was a state road. And they're the
Understood.
ones that came back to me and said, hey, we've been approved. And then they put, you know, another 30 sea grapes in there, which is,
understood.
okay, why? It's like
Yeah.
crazy.
So if you want to, like I said, if you want to get me an
Yeah.
email, I will make sure to chase that here. I'll send you an email as soon as we get done today. So you can. So and then I just want to also, if you'll indulge me for a minute, to kind of piggyback on something that Steve said with regards to the progress over the last month or so. Okay. A lot. I know there was a big protest. Obviously we had heard about the protest that the Yucatan put on. The commissioner has taken significant strides to put Ajax, the contractor who is overseeing the project, on notice. And I can tell you, I've been involved in multiple meetings with the commissioner and with the Ajax leadership team, not just the local people that are over the project, but their senior vice presidents out of other parts of the state have been coming into town on a weekly to every other week basis, checking in with the project team and also checking in with the commissioners. We've met with multiple of the commissioners so that they can get a briefing as to what's happening. So I think the concerns and the questions that have been coming from the public have had the intended impact with the commissioner, and he has taken action to try to get Ajax to help speed up. I mean, you asked why aren't they working around the clock? There's restrictions. There's some times that they can't be doing work. We obviously don't want to disturb the people who are trying to sleep that still are living right next to the bridge either. So there's some things that there's some restrictions, okay? But they have stepped up. The project team has been stepping up big time. And we're seeing the progress, and I think these progress photos that they're putting out weekly, you can see that there's significant amounts of work that have happened week to week. And the commissioner was instrumental in working with FDOT and working with Ajax to get that happening. So I just want to say that, I mean, we understand, we are super sympathetic. We wish this thing was already up to 2 lanes and that we were moving on down the road. It's getting done as fast as it possibly can. There's a lot of things that have gone on, and we're working through those as they come up. But I think you're going to be happy with the finished product, and we really appreciate the patience that the community is having.
Can I piggyback off you for just a second? I do want to clarify, because I know I heard some grumbling when it came to the around the clock. I do want to comment that nowhere in any of our messaging have we said they were going to be able to work around the clock because of the restraints. Our messaging has been there would be night work and there would be additional crews, and both of those have been fulfilled. It just depends on the nature of the activity and the work, but sometimes the media has spun the wording to say 24/7 around the clock, but I know it's hard to believe. But our messaging did not say that. We were not trying to put across false messaging. Just I wanted to clarify what it really said. Yes.
Before we get to the next one, can we just close the loop on that you're going to commit to see if we can get some kind of a percentage of work done? And can we also get any kind of an idea of spring? Is it middle, end? No, I mean, it would just be helpful if we could, if it's the end, fine, just so we know. If we could commit to that, would that be all right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So can I have an answer? They are committed to find that out. But we don't have an estimate right now. Spring starts in February. No, but they're committed that they will get that information.
So okay, we understand. We really do. All right, we know spring is a 3-month time frame. No, we know you want a date, okay? We get it. But we gave a date when the project started. We're really cautious on giving out dates. We don't want to tell you a date that we aren't sure is going to be able to be met, okay? We're telling you it's going to be done in the spring, and they're doing everything they can to get it done, not at the end of the spring, okay? That's the best we can tell you right now. When we have a firm, yes, we're going to be done by this date, we will get that information out. I trust me, the commissioner is going to want to get that information out. We've had the conversations, but things can happen. We don't want to tell you a date, and then all of a sudden something happens and we can't meet it. Yeah.
Thank you. First thing I want to say is that I don't believe that the contractor is entirely making every effort to. Today they were unloading bridge beams about 4:30 and stopping traffic in both directions. So they shouldn't have done that. That should be done at 2 in the morning or something when nobody's passing through. Number one. Number two, the phase construction. I'm pretty sure that the contractor had to submit something like a schedule to the DOT to say when they were going to be complete with the project, which is fine. They probably also had milestone dates when it was going to be completed, like spring, but spring wouldn't say spring. Spring would say April 1st. It would say something like that. Was there a schedule, and has it been delayed because of things that have been encountered in the job, or just there was no schedule required?
Yes to both of those questions. There was an original schedule. That schedule is updated monthly.
What's the current completion date on that schedule of the milestone, exact date?
We do not have an acceptable schedule at this time. We've rejected the last several schedules.
When's the day you want to have it done, if you're rejecting it?
I would like to have it done tomorrow.
I know, but what would be acceptable? I'm a contractor, obviously, but I'm not a contractor. I have nothing to do with Florida.
Yeah.
what do you have, what's the date that is, what is the date that they're projecting right at the moment on their schedule that you won't be accepting?
I don't have that in front of me, and we've said, guys, we don't want to get into dates right now.
But you have to with the contractor. And that goes to my next thing. There is acceleration. It's very common in construction. You guys all know that. Right now, it's very easy to calculate it. There's probably, what's the traffic count out there? About 10,000 cars a day, something like that? Well, you should know. Somebody should know. The traffic count out there is about probably 10,000 cars a day. Every car is worth about, let's say, $20, $30, $40 an hour for every hour we sit in it and we pay ourselves. So let's say $20 an hour, just for the sake of numbers, okay? Every hour, 10,000, that's $200,000 a day. And let's say everybody's losing 15 minutes that goes through there. That's $50,000 a day it's costing everybody here. Everybody's taking something out of their pocket to maintain their car, for their pay. The truck drivers are getting paid. Everybody's getting paid. So right now you're costing everybody here and many others $50,000 a day. It's dumb. You should be able to give some acceleration costs to tell the contractor we want you done on reasonable date, might be end of April at this point, judging from what I see out there. You're going to be done, and we're going to fine you. We're going to accelerate. We're going to give you 50 times 30 days. We're going to give you 100, whatever that amount is. We're going to give you that. If you've gone beyond it, you get nothing and you have to pay us a penalty. That's the way this should be done. And I don't understand for the life of me why there isn't a firm date and why it can't be monetized. Very simple to monetize this.
It's not simple, unfortunately,
It
to
is.
monetize. It's not.
It is.
So-
I've done it. It is. It is.
It's really not. So
Okay, let's hear it.
So when the contract came out, the county requested FDOT to incorporate liquidated damages into the contract.
Yes.
The liquidated damages were set on their original schedule date of January 31st, okay? There are reasonable and understandable weather days and things that have happened.
Weather days shouldn't be, but go ahead.
Weather days, there was 2 hurricanes
It's slow
that
weather
came
days.
through.
Okay. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll shut up. I'm sorry.
They were hurricanes. So the bottom line is we're working through what the reasonable amount of weather days are. Those are all discussions that are happening. The contractor is well aware that they are beyond the original date that was set on their schedule and that liquidated damages are in their contract, in their task work order, and could be enforced, okay? So they have every incentive to get the project completed on as fast a timeline as possible. We asked the contractor at one point in time to provide an incentive. What could you do? If you told me, county, for an extra $1 million, we could get this bridge done in 2 months faster. We asked them, give us a number, tell us what it is. They couldn't quantify it. There are some things that you need to understand. Right of way is a significant constraint, okay? There's not a lot of room. We can't throw, like some of these projects, they put an extra barge in the water and they can drive 2 piles at a time. The permit doesn't allow them to drive 2 piles at a time. It only allows them to drive 1 a day, correct, Steve?
The permit?
The permit with the Corps. So that was a restriction from the environmental team that reviewed it. There's things that the right-of-way is a constraint. It's like I said, other projects like the Howard Franklin, you go by, there's multiple barges out there with multiple cranes on site. I mean, so there's certain things that they couldn't just monetarily say, yeah, you give us this money, we'll throw another barge out there, we'll drive piles faster, and we'll get the caps poured, and we'll get the bridge laid. It just doesn't, unfortunately, work that way. We understand that it's a time concern for you guys. We do get it. We just ask for patience.
Well, but, let's assume that's all true, and that's fine. Shouldn't they be working, right now they got a bunch of bridge beams set. Go start informing them, go start doing the rebar, get it all ready, so when the next beams go in, when the back walls are done, when the abutments are done, all the piling caps are done, why can't they do something like that to move it along, get it a little further, get it closer, so when the next step comes, it's ready?
They will do that, and that's going to come in time. Unfortunately, a lot of jobs you have what we call critical path. A lot of times,
I know.
okay. So when you can do things concurrently, you can do multiple items. This job is a very linear job, right? We can't put spans 4 and 5 out there until we do the riprap. You can't do the riprap before you put the wall in. You can't do the bulkheads until that's done. So everything is working backwards to items. We've had, everyone knows Hurricane Ann, everyone knows the destruction. We lost a seawall out there. Where's the seawall? It's in the footprint of the new seawall. We had to take that out without damaging an existing bridge. That was very difficult. That's not something you can just go throw any excavator you want and dig a huge hole. You're at risk of undermining the existing bridge, which has one lane of traffic. These are all items or activities that went into this job that made it much harder than it appears. This is a very small job. I get it. I've done big jobs. I've done complex jobs. This job looks like nothing.
It's a small, complex job, I agree.
It's very complex.
What's the value of the job, may I ask? The current value, you know,
for the
total
entire,
cost, total contractor's cost.
I think we're upwards of 56 million.
56.
But that is Causeway and
Okay,
the bridge.
Causeway too, okay, okay. All right, thank you.
I have a couple of questions. One's current time. I come around Burnstall Road and everybody's trying to make the turn and the entire intersection is blocked. So my question is, what is the sheriff's purview in this roadway? Is it important that he's sitting in a car on the side of the road just before the bridge going west? And is it important that he's sitting at the corner here on Burnstall Road when the four-way cha-cha happens? There could be a lot done with simple traffic direction. Not a flag man walking around like this. The guy with the flag should be at a certain point where he waves the flag, stop the traffic, let the cars run by. That's just simple. The other thing I really want to know is who's the contractor. I heard a couple of different names, but I believe it's Manhattan Construction, right?
Ajax is the prime contractor. Manhattan is one of their subs.
Okay, would you like to tell us who owns Manhattan Construction?
I don't know who owns Manhattan Construction.
Former Congressman Rooney.
Okay.
Well, I know it, and you can research it. So that makes this project extremely suspect. There's just too much that's wrong with this. The sheriff should be directing traffic, and it should be moving much quicker, much quicker. And that's an easy thing to do.
That's a good point. Do you have a suggestion? Do we just need to go to the sheriff's department and ask about that? Or is that something you can? I mean, is that something that we would do, or is that something we can ask the county to do on our behalf?
What, to talk to the sheriff? No.
No,
First you gotta find out-
I just want to find out because it might be something that would come part of the whole project
My
with
question
them.
is, what's his responsibility here?
Exactly.
Do they direct traffic?
That's what we want to find out because we
Right.
haven't seen that.
And
No, they don't direct traffic. They,
all right, so
the sheriff's department, you're free to contact the sheriff, but
I understand you have to look behind the joker poker machine.
We-
That's
we
corruption
aren't-
number
we
two.
aren't-
You've answered my question.
we aren't in a position to pay the sheriff to direct traffic out there. We've got traffic control.
The money
I-
is,
Okay. Right. Understood. Yeah, okay. That's an enforcement issue. I apologize. I wasn't understanding what your concern was.
If the truck, I'm not asking if he's supposed to be directing traffic. I'm asking if that's in
Understood.
his
I got
agenda.
you.
Is he supposed to do anything with traffic,
So-
except if a light pole falls?
So we can coordinate with the sheriff's department and
Good
with the
idea.
city of Cape Coral's
Good
police
idea.
department as to who has jurisdiction at that location, and look at starting to
We
do
don't
some
want Cape Coral
enforcement.
directing traffic. Ask for the
It's
VFW,
not-
the
it's not-
American Legion to
Sir,
volunteer some of the subs.
it's not about
please.
directing traffic, it's about enforcing the don't block the box rules in
Well,
the
if it's a
state
moving
statute.
violation, I understand.
So-
But also directing traffic. But you've answered my question. My other question is in relation to the bridge. I didn't get what you said. There's no, what kind of a bridge were you talking about?
An Acro Bridge, it's a temporary bridge.
Acro, it's called?
ACRO, yes.
It's not a mechanical bridge, like a military mechanical bridge?
Similar, yes.
Similar. And you're talking about spending money on it? This is a federal disaster area. The National Guard should have been called out day one and set up mechanical bridges, period. I appreciate your time, but I understand everybody here needs Kleenex. They're crying about it. Deal with the traffic and everybody will be a little happier tomorrow, and start looking into our former congressmen and the sheriff's department, what they can do. You got a couple of steps to make things happen here. Thank you for your time.
Hello. Thank you for being here. And I apologize if these questions have already been answered. I was late, insert joke, because of traffic. Yeah. No, real quick, you said 56 million is where we're at currently on the contract, correct? Because it's not a bid.
Correct.
Okay.
And I say correct, that's from memory, but
Okay,
yes.
it's okay. I'm not going to hold you to numbers. I'm just trying to get it all in line. That 6 million is out of the contractor's pocket, as it is overage with the contract, and if so, where does that 6 million come from? Yes, the emergency contract is for 50 million, 50.
It's been increased.
It has been increased. Okay, they did not provide me with that information. Additionally, if the contract does not finish on the said date, what happens? Does it convert to a bid where there are actually time points for them to complete things? Or is the contract extended, and do they have any form of penalties?
We're looking into all that, yes.
Okay, no, wait,
That-
hey,
it was a-
please, everybody, we're having a conversation. I understand you don't know, but Ajax isn't here.
It was a loaded question, so there's two things. We talked about.
Not loaded, honest.
We talked about LDs, okay? So the LDs was tied to a task work order for the bridge in phase one. LDs is tied to the final contract as well. So when I say we're looking into it, you have to look at all the days. So I can't tell you where we're at right now until all that gets settled out.
Forgive me, LD, just
Liquidated damages.
liquidated damages, same thing, penalties for overage. Okay. Upon the next meeting, if we have one, would Ajax be here? Would they actually have the stones to show up?
I think they would show up.
That'd be really cool. I think that'd show a little bit of commitment on their part. I appreciate your time. Thank you so very much.
He asked some of my questions. So I looked it up, and June 20th, 2025 is summer solstice. So I guess our islands are looking to have your commitment for June 19th at the latest. That
For
would be June 19th is still spring solstice, is still spring. So that's the day that we're looking at you at the latest. Can you do that? Phase one.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, yes. I mean, that is definitely, we're looking better than that, yes.
And the gentleman before me asked the questions of what kind of penalties are there to the contractor. So I guess we'll wait to see what kind of penalties. And if there's any monies that are due back to our counties and our taxpayers for back patients, as you keep saying, which we probably will never see. I have a question regarding the east side of the Matlacha Bridge. The other day I was driving home in the traffic, and I was going west, a gentleman was going east, and he literally had an orange barrel in front of his car driving. And I just kept praying, please don't make that barrel hit my car. Let it hit somebody else's. So the question is, when are those orange barrels going to be removed? We were told in August of 2024 that that bridge, that section of the bridge, the east side of the drawbridge, would be completed by the fall. And we're now in spring of 2025. When will that bridge be completed?
The remaining items on that bridge are a RFB, rapid flashing beacon crosswalk, and striping. And we're working on the task work order to finalize that. We don't
Summer
have-
solstice, spring solstice? What are you talking?
I don't know. We don't have a task work order. But yes, I guess that's my question is, what were you asking?
The road,
So just when the barrels get picked up?
yes, and when will it be a finished product? It's not finished. as long as there's orange barrels there and old men driving right at you with them. When will those be picked up? When will that road be officially, when will we have a grand opening with a ribbon cutting?
I will look into that.
Okay, to be advised. And I just want to make a comment that for all of us who live here, 24/7, it seemed like, we listened to the east side of the drawbridge every day in the summer. Doosh, doosh, doosh. All we heard was the music of pounding of sheets of metal driving into the ground. And we were so happy when it stopped. We don't hardly hear it even happening over here. What's,
You have,
and why did it seemed like that section was so much bigger than this project, and it seems like it's taking a long time.
the first question, the Matlacha Basquiat Bridge had a very large number of piles.
Yes.
This project only has 3 piles per bent for phase and 5 bents. So you're talking 15 as opposed to, there was over, I want to say over 40 in just the Basquiat Pier alone.
Are they finished driving those in each
They are,
quadrant?
yes. For phase 1, yes. So we're going to do the same thing in phase 2 once we switch traffic.
Okay. So I've got you marked down for a couple of answers. We'll be looking for you for answers. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Good evening. Just a couple of things. I had written to submit your comment about a week ago about pedestrians and cyclists on the bridge. I was kind of upset that it took to the end of the initial timeline to even bring it up because we're supposed to be done at this point. But there's been numerous times where cyclists will cut the entire line, half an hour's worth of traffic to get to the front of the line at Yucatan, and then they get to go across the bridge first when it turns green, and we're all waiting for them to cross. Same with cyclists. So I was pleasantly surprised, it was the first time I actually got a response, that signage would be going up saying pedestrians and cyclists are not allowed on the bridge, but unless there's enforcement, no one cares that there's no sign right now, I don't think, but it's still gonna happen. It causes additional stress or additional time. The other thing is that we appreciate a new bridge. Obviously, we all wanna be safe, we wanna have a bridge, we need it to be modern, it's gonna be wide, fabulous. We build our lives around schedules. Many of us do project management, including myself. I have Gantt charts, I have schedules, I have milestones. I'm expected to keep them. And when I don't keep them, I'm also expected to tell people and create a contingency plan, or at least provide notification to everyone who might be affected by that schedule. And so while you all say that milestones weren't met, none of us knew. I kept going to the FDOT site and looking at the project because I kept saying, I've got school-age kids, I've got to sign them up for activities, I've got to get them to their friends in Cape Coral, I need to know what my plan is in the spring. And I can tell by my eyes, even though I'm not in construction, there's no way this bridge is going to be done in February. But every time I went to the website, it said the exact same thing it said last June, February. And then you all came on the eve of the timeline ending, the very end of January, to say, nope, spring. So now, what are we supposed, I understand that things go over, but you all kept information from us when we were trying to make very important decisions about our lives. And I want to know who's going to be accountable for that.
I mean, I can speak to that since we sent out the updates, but we were compiling information to have a ton of meetings to make sure that we could get out the proper information and build a strategic communication plan, because we did realize that prior to this, there was a lack of communication coming in to inform the public of what's happening, which is why we built our plan. Granted, I understand the timeline was a bit inconvenient the day before February.
No, but I mean, in October, were you behind? Did you know that? Did you tell us?
I relayed the information that I knew and that we knew.
But the FDOT site was never updated, ever. It still says this is what you can expect, or not now, but I know in January it still said this is what you can expect, February.
Right. And until we had our meetings to discuss the consistent messaging and make sure we knew what we could relate to the public.
But why didn't you tell us in the fall when it got off schedule is what I'm asking. Who is accountable for keeping us in the dark? Like, it's a legitimate question that we should all have an answer to. And I know you say thank you for your patience. It's not patience. We don't have a choice. We're stuck on the island when there's traffic. We're not voluntarily giving you our patience.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we already have
We
improved
are.
the communication, so. What-
I have to be honest with you, I gave up. Like, I don't, there's no point. Like, it'll be done when it's done, it'll open when it's open. I wait, I'm late to get my kids to places. Even when I leave with enough time, it'll add 20 minutes while I'm sitting in traffic. So even though I knew I was gonna get on time, now I'm not gonna get on time. And that's just life. And I'm sure that other people think the same thing. And I know there was historically traffic going through Mount Lachey. I don't mean to complain. I just wanna know who's accountable. Because we're here. This is where we are. I want to know who's accountable for not providing that good communication to us, for letting us know what happened while maybe we signed our kids up for Little League in Cape Coral and now we can't do it.
Yeah, there's no answer to that question right now. All I can tell you is that the project team and the county work together on a communication plan to improve the communication plan directly in response to the valid point that you have brought up. So I would hope that the communications that we're sending out now are providing you some useful and valid information. And
When you said spring, I stopped. Because spring is 3 months into June, and I was like, I said they're purposely not giving us a date because they don't know. And so at that point, there was no point in continuing to look at the communication. I mean, spring is 3 whole months after the deadline. But back to the cyclists and pedestrians, that actually does happen. It's happening quite a bit, and it's stalling traffic further. And I'd like, if there's a way to figure that out, it would be helpful. Like, there's never a cop when you need them, right? Is the issue. So, thank you.
I had that experience the other day. There was a woman that was going westbound, stopped all the traffic because there's no space. With the crews who are there, I mean, won't they say something to her that you're not allowed on this bridge? Well, I mean, if I was standing there, I would have told her, if I could have. It's just a simple, you're not allowed for safety reasons to go this way. Exactly. I mean, if we can just get that kind of commitment that somebody's going to say something when people are doing that, because it does. And the other thing that causes problems is when you've got 20 cars coming through after the light has changed. And then the people going the opposite way are stuck and after you've been waiting. That's another problem that I don't know who's looking out for those things.
that's part of why Ajax is now doing the flagging with the slow stop paddles, is because of the people that were running the signals. And so they're able to more efficiently adjust and give more time back to the other direction when that happens. So while, again, we understand there's some enforcement issues that you're bringing up, we'll make sure we communicate with the sheriff's department. I don't know what kind of response they're going to give. I don't know if they're going to sit there and start just ticketing it every day. They do targeted enforcement when we work with them on things. So the enforcement is like a day, and then maybe a week later they come back and do it again. That's the kind of enforcement we might get. It's not going to be consistent. The sheriff's going to sit there and start ticketing cyclists, pedestrians, or people running the red light.
Thank you for coming tonight. I know I'm sure you were not looking forward to it, but thanks. So, I'm following up to the meeting that was maybe a year-ish ago at the Methodist Church. This was a question that I raised last month, and they said, ask it tonight, so I am. At the Methodist Church, in the big fellowship hall that's there were various stations. This this project was absolutely one talked about, but there was additional projects that had to do with the whole stretch of Pine Island Road coming from the four-way out to Burnt Store. And there were different sections, and you could write comments on what's what. And I'm asking you if all of that is still in the future plans, or if someone has said, you know, these people have been through enough. We're not even going to think about that for a long time.
So that's the shared use path project. It's a completely separate project. It was a whole different PD&E phase that the state was doing. What I can share with you at this point is that the state is asking if the county wishes to continue forward with the project, that we take over the PD&E locally and not have the state manage it. The commissioners, it came up at a Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting, I don't know, a couple months ago, and there was some direction given. It wasn't very clear direction. Nobody on the MPO staff really knows what the direction was. County staff doesn't really know what the direction was. I can tell you that we don't have funding to build it. So the bottom line is that if we continue with the PD&E, it's simply to get it approved. The PD&E, just so we can, project development and environment, it's a process that you go through. It's like, it's before design. This is a public vetting, environmental vetting process for a project. So this I'm going to say PD&E because it's really complicated to say project development and environment every single time. But that was the PD&E phase of that project was designed to get the feedback that we got from the public, okay? So it wasn't like this is an absolute, we have to do this project. And I know everyone's terrified because you see the extra areas on the new Little Pine Island Bridge that, oh my gosh, they're still going to build the shared use path. That's just a requirement of new bridge design. Could you imagine if we replaced this bridge and didn't incorporate that shared use path, and then 10 years from now, y'all came to us and said, we want a pathway, and we had to build a pathway there, and we had to close a lane on the bridge to do it? Oh my gosh, we would be just, it'd be just crazy. So that's being incorporated in there in the off chance that sometime down the road, we were to come in and put a sidewalk and pathways in. There is no funding for us to do that. It's not in our CIP, Capital Improvement Program. Apologize. If and when it goes into our Capital Improvement Program, that is all done, vetted through the public forums. You'll be able to come talk to the commissioners about it. If we start design, there will be public meetings. I promise you. We are not going to come and shove a sidewalk or a shared use path down the throat of Matlacha and Pine Island. There are a faction of people who want pedestrian amenities throughout these areas. I would tell you the most likely scenario would be that we look at segment 1, which is everything west of Matlacha, where you could put a sidewalk in there and not really impact the road and not really impact the wetlands. We might look at segment 3 from Matlacha east to Burnt Store Road and provide some pedestrian and cycle amenities in that segment where it was also not as controversial. Matlacha, who knows? I'm not in a position to tell you right now that we'll ever deliver a pathway through Matlacha. But I'm telling you, there are people who want it. Okay? So it's not just like it was 100% against. It was a 70-30, 60-40 split. So the commissioners right now are not being entertained. We're not even bringing any kind of discussion to them. If it comes up at an MPO meeting, the commissioners are going to give us more clear direction, and we'll be coming to talk to you guys about it.
I'm Michael Hannon. I live in Matlacha. Just Rob, can I follow up on that? Yeah. So responsibility is it to plan the capital improvement project for Pine Island Road from Burns Store to Stringfellow? Whose job is it to get that rolling?
It's a county road, so the commissioners have the ultimate
Okay.
decision authority. DOT, Lee
No, I
County
just
DOT.
want to know who's responsible for starting that planning. We have to go to the commissioner and say, Commissioner Ruane, would you get your other commissioners to start this right now so that we can be ahead of the curve and people can then begin to get the money necessary to do what the consensus that is reached? Whose job is it to get the ball rolling?
Well, the ball was rolling through that PD&E
I
phase.
remember, and it's been waylaid. So you're telling us now that there is no plan for our road that exists now because we haven't done the
Not your road,
CIP.
a shared use path is what we're talking about, right?
Well, that's what started all this. What people want for this road. Where does that stand now? Nowhere, right? So whose job is it to start the capital planning to be prepared to move the ball forward when the roads and the bridge are done?
Ultimately, we would need direction from the Board of County Commissioners for us to take the project forward.
Okay, so right now, none of that exists. We would need to go see our commissioners and say, let's get the ball rolling now, because it's been how many years since Hurricane Ian? Okay, I got it. Sorry. So we know whose job it is to make that decision, and we'll go see what we can do to get the ball rolling. A couple questions on who's here. Caitlin, I've communicated with you for quite some time. You're community outreach specialist. Are you a FDOT employee or are you a contractor?
I work on behalf of them. I'm technically a consultant, but I do. Oh, sorry. No, it can be loud. I do work on behalf of FDOT, yes.
Are you a contractor to FDOT or an FDOT employee?
I guess I would be a contractor to FDOT, yes.
Okay, so you're a contractor to FDOT. And this gentleman here, I'm sorry, I forget your name. Are you part of the community outreach specialist team as well?
I am not. I am a CEI consulting, construction engineering and inspection, CEI. We're Hardesty in Hanover. We work for FDOT.
You work for FDOT, okay.
As a consultant.
As a what?
Consultant.
I would say the same. I say consultant over contractor.
So you're consulting for FDOT. What is your role in consulting on this project?
We are the CEI. We oversee the construction and we oversee the contractor and we work for FDOT.
Okay.
CEI is construction, engineering, and inspection.
So is anyone here from FDOT? In the back?
Yes.
Okay. Let me finish my questions and comments, if you don't mind. Young man, when you come here to talk to us about the project and tell us that you don't have the information, you don't remember it, or you don't have it before you, or you haven't looked at it recently, you got a computer? When you come to these meetings, young man, you come and be prepared to answer these people's questions. Even if it takes you 5 minutes to look at your computer.
There's certain information
Okay?
too that you can
That's
submit.
what these people are complaining about. Because you've got the information, but you're here deliberately ignorant and unable to answer the questions of very smart people. Thank you.
Again, folks, I can appreciate the desire for you guys to get some of your frustrations out to us, and that's why we're here, okay? But let's be respectful, okay? Steve is one of the finest engineers I've ever worked with, okay? FDOT has a superb team on this project, all right? So I just want you guys to know Steve does work for Lee County. He's done work for us. He helped build the drawbridge, Okay, so he used to be an employee with FDOT. He's working for Hardesty in Hanover. They do a ton of work in the county. All right, so let's be respectful. The FDOT team is here. They're in the back. These are the people who are boots on the ground every day. Okay, if we had the FDOT project manager up here, he could certainly answer questions. You're not getting any different information than you're getting from the team that's up here talking to you right now. All right, so.
In the interest of time, can we keep everything now related to the bridge? Thank you, thank you.
Okay. Excuse me, I recently had to have emergency surgery, leave the island in ambulance. It is an issue crossing that bridge. Before the surgery, the traffic was gridlock past Publix, both directions. I was in severe pain, could not get into that Publix pharmacy because there was no way in. And just today, I had to do some blood work in Cape Coral, and the bridge was so blocked up that I couldn't get back for my PT appointment on the island. So basically, this bridge is jeopardizing people's health on the island. And your timetable is not acceptable. There are these orange cones, excuse me, that I've noticed around Publix entrance, but they don't do anything. So is there a way to keep a lane open so that you can access Publix? Because there's just one way in.
We're not doing any work over by the Publix. If there's cones there, that's not us.
Okay, but it's an issue. Can't get into the pharmacy. There are 2 pharmacies on this island. There's very limited medical services on the island. We have to leave, and this project is jeopardizing our health.
Good evening, my name is Rosemary Arway. I own a house here and I own a business here, and both have suffered significantly because of the hurricanes and this situation. Before owning a business here, I spent 30 years in law enforcement. As a chief of police, I retired. My concern is similar to this lady that she expressed. We are in a very critical area if somebody needs emergency service or if an officer needs assistance. I hear what people are saying about directing traffic. I will tell you that it is volume. That's all it is. You can have a cop out there waving their arms for hours. It's volume. It's just going to take that amount of time. I spent decades preparing for worst case scenarios and hoping for the best. I don't feel like that has been done here, because this should not be an issue with us trying to get off the island or trying to get on the island in the case of an emergency. And I don't feel, and I appreciate you being here, but I don't feel we're getting satisfactory answers to any questions. Spring, it does not compute. And God forbid we have a situation where a person is sick, they don't need to be helicoptered off the island, we're spending resources and valuable time and money, and our citizens aren't getting the services that they need or demand. And God forbid, and I'm very biased in this, but an officer needs assistance. How are they going to get here? And the other thing, and I don't want to be that person, but when I drive back and forth, and I'm off the island quite a bit, back and forth, I'm sorry, I don't see anybody breaking a sweat working there. And I think that, I understand that there are issues. There's a lot of conferring going on. And it's just frustrating for those people that need to get on and off the island.
So thank you for your comments. If you have a question, if we could get to the question.
Yeah, my question is, when are we going to have 2 lanes of traffic?
If I can.
When?
So it just, and I know spring is frustrating, but I will say that the way that FDOT works with all construction projects is every single end date for a project is a season, or if you look on every single project website for a construction project in Southwest Florida, it says early, middle, or late of a year. So I know it's not satisfactory, but I know, but that is literally how it works for construction. We're ambitious and we put dates out there, but this is why it gets messy. And so, but that is what we do, is we do seasons. So we're going to what works, which is seasons for construction.
Given the nature of us being on an island and tourist season, snowbird season, whatever you want to call it, that's not an acceptable answer for people who are trying to sustain.
We understand.
And we're not getting answers, and that's very
We
frustrating.
understand. It's the answer right now, and
It is, yeah.
let's if we could move on to something else, that would be great.
Here's another question. Do we have a choice? Do we have a choice? Because the other young lady said, we're not being patient. We don't have an option.
The bridge was getting replaced in 2027. Okay, like this unfortunate set of circumstances was inevitable.
Right.
Okay, we're trying our best to react and respond to improve it. All right, there's what I don't know what else you want us to say at this point. We've heard everyone that's come up and made these comments, and we sympathize. We really do. I mean, you can say we don't. I don't really. It is what it is. We care. Okay, that's why we have taken action. That's why we're here.
I understand that, and I do appreciate it, but that, my last comment is, it is what it is not an acceptable response. It's not. It's not a acceptable response.
My name's Darren Roth, and I've owned the island for 41 years. And I've been through all phases of construction all my life. I just retired from the Sheriff's Department for 28 years. I know what goes on with the sheriffs. I know what law enforcement we need. I know what it takes to build a bridge. I've worked in numerous smaller companies building stuff like that. I know for a fact that once y'all get the pilings all set on phase 1 and you finish pouring your pile caps, you gotta set the rest of your concrete girders, and then you gotta pour. And those gotta sit for a 30, 60, and 90-day trial period for hardness, for pressure on the concrete. And if it don't pass,
They don't.
it's gotta start over again. So we're minimum 90 days away. And you're not even ready to finish setting those yet.
That's not accurate, no.
Yeah. Are you involved in the construction, physical construction of the bridge?
I am not, no.
Right. Well, we'll leave that at that. 2, I appreciate you guys coming out, but really, everybody came here with a numerous pile of questions, which you guys were not really ready to answer, and didn't have the answers they need. One of the problems
we don't have the answers that you want. We understand that, but we have given you answers to every question. We have sat here and listened and answered every single question. So I take offense to that comment. That is not true. We have given you answers. You're not happy with the answers, and we understand that, and we appreciate your frustration. We really do. Okay.
Well, you can't appreciate the frustration that people have here until you sit in these lines 2, 3, and 4 times a day, every day, for over a year now.
So does anybody have a question we haven't covered? I think I can speak on behalf of Rob and Caitlin and say everybody's super pissed. We're all pissed. I feel for everybody who has to commute off the island in any way, shape, or form. And I live here, and I've lived here for 25 years. Do you have questions that they haven't asked yet? We can beat them up for another hour.
No, we're not trying to beat them up. I would just like to see.
But that's what it's coming
I'm trying
down
to set the precedence for next meeting. That's all. I'm not pissed at you. I would just like some more answers. So we're trying to set up a precedence for next meeting that maybe you guys will know now what everybody's asking for, and you can come in better prepared to answer the questions, or have somebody else from FDOT or somebody from the bridge construction that might be able to answer questions.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's perfect. And I think Caitlin said she's going to work on timeline and those kinds of things for us. So.
Well, thank you for coming. But one of the things I was wondering about, I get online on the FDOT to look at the traffic cameras, and I can see how much a backup is on Allen Road. Can you set up some more cameras so that, and do some type of estimating about how long a wait? You know, we've been to national parks, and they'll put a sign out saying, at this point, it's a 90-minute wait. Disney World has it. Yeah, so anyway, but basically it's sort of like, okay, how can people get through there and at least know that when they turn onto Pine Island Road, is it gonna be 20 minutes, an hour? What is the time element at a certain place where the cars are stopped?
So the answer to that question is we can't, and the reasoning is some of that technology that you're referencing is reliant upon fiber optic communication lines, which we just simply don't have past the drawbridge. So what we have are the 2 cameras that are on Lee County's website that you look at.
Yeah.
Those are running on cell modem, so they're unstable at times. The ones that we put on the temporary signals, they're running on a cell modem. Sometimes I have them up in my office 24/7 when I'm there. They're up on my TV in there, and so I'm watching them. When they go down, I call our traffic people. Hey, why are the cameras down? But they're not stable. What I would urge you to do, and it's probably the most useful tool that you can use, is use your Google Maps, use your Apple Maps on your phone. I used that when I was leaving the office at 5 p.m. today to come out here to guesstimate how long it was going to take me. It said I would be here by 6. I got on Pine Island Road, and next thing you know, it's telling me 6:15. So, I mean, it adjusts on the fly.
Unreliable, and now you've got flagmen who completely
Good,
throw it
good,
off. I'm
fine.
not saying for better or for worse.
Okay, now put on the DOT website how to do that, so that you give the information to the people. So if they can go to Google Maps and project something in Fort Myers, how long will it take them? You know, just give people tools.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, and also the sign that's on Pine Island Road, that is run by a generator, right?
it's run by solar, I believe.
Not by
Solar panel.
generator?
I think it has a generator backup, battery backup, and it's run by a solar panel.
Oh, okay, because I was thinking, can't you put up a camera up there?
Again, we don't have fiber. I'd have to actually connect it to fiber optic communication, and that's complicated. By the time we would accomplish something like that, the phase 1 will be complete.
The other thing is, like, at the German American Club, there are usually policemen directing traffic when they have Oktoberfest. So the idea of not having police to direct traffic.
We would pay for that.
Okay, well, someone's got to pay for it.
Yeah, the budget is just not simply there to have police there directing traffic 24/7.
Well, not
We've
just during
addressed that
rush
question.
hour.
So
No,
we've
not
addressed that
24/7.
question. Understood. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks for being here. I've been listening, and this is the first time I've ever attended one of these meetings, just because I wanted to understand how this is all going down. So all the money was given to FDOT, then it goes through Lee County, then it goes through Lee County subcontracted it to these other, how did that all, I don't understand the whole piece of pie there, I guess you could.
This is very, very complicated, and I apologize in
Well, I was
advance. No,
just-
and
yeah.
I just want to explain it. So FHWA came in.
Federal Highway Administration.
Thank you.
Okay.
And this is, everything we work in is acronym, so I'm going to try to work with you. We did what's called a DDIR, a Detailed Damage Inventory Report. So they go through, they find the damage, they give an estimate. That gets to FHWA. FHWA says, here's your pot of money. On this job, this was called a phase design build. So what that means is a normal job, you get a set of plans, and that's how you run with it, right? And a contractor can be low bid. They have other jobs called design build. That's when a designer comes in, designs it, and then they give you a cost for all that. They say, for me to design it and build it, it's this much money, right? This is phase design build. So we had basically a broad scope of what needed to be done based on that DDIR, a cost that FHWA said was reasonable. Every time we got to a point where they would design a plan set, they got paid to design the plans, and then we went to FHWA to write what's called task work orders, TWOs. We got that money from FHWA, and then they started working on those portions of the project. The benefit to you guys is we were able to get stuff done. This is gonna sound crazy. We got stuff done very quickly. On a typical job, we wouldn't even be under construction right now. We'd still be working in the PD&E phase, maybe the design phase. It takes years to get through. So what we got accomplished in literally 6 months, we had a plan set to start working on the causeway.
So,
Oh, you're happy now.
so no. I just
No,
want
I like it because
I want to drive that point home
Right.
because it's really important. There's handrail on Stringfellow Road that was damaged by the hurricanes, Hurricane Ian. Handrail. We're not talking about sidewalk. We're not talking about the road. Handrail. It's taken us 2.5 years to get Federal Highway Administration's approval for us to move forward with hiring a contractor to repair the handrail, okay? So 2.5 years. That FDOT being on this project has shortened that time frame tremendously.
And I
FDOT
do agree.
has the direct line of communication with Federal Highway Administration to get action and get action happening. So that's why we're under construction now. That's why the project could get started on the time frame it was. If the county was overseeing this project, I mean, we're good. We're probably one of the most advanced counties in District 1 when it comes to delivering construction projects, but FDOT is instrumental in getting things done on a faster time frame. So I can't stress that enough, that just handrail, 2.5 years. Sidewalks on Estero Boulevard and Fort Myers Beach, we still don't have approval to move forward with. Sidewalks on Hickory Boulevard on Bonita Beach from Hurricane Ian, we're just putting out the bid. Like, this is the frustration for me as a department, where we know we have damage from hurricanes 2 years later, and the commissioners are getting complaints from the citizens that the sidewalk is not fixed. When are you going to fix the sidewalk? And he comes to me and I say, Commissioner, we're going through this process so we can maximize our federal reimbursement to pay for this. Could we go out and fix it ourselves and forgo that FEMA money or federal highway money? Absolutely. But then that money is all coming out of the county taxpayers, and it's going off of something that it was already ticketed to do, like a construction project somewhere else. And it's just one of these things from a responsible overseer of the road network. We have to maximize our reimbursement. Just like, yeah, I mean, if you had damage to your house, you're going to go get your FEMA money, get your insurance money, do all those things and follow all those steps. It's very similar. Unfortunately, as you all know, the process is time consuming and it sucks.
It does, and that was the main thing. I heard Ajax involved in this. I don't think I've ever seen their cars over there. I only see the one with the M on it. And I can contest, and I think that's why so many people here are so upset, was until you probably sent that thing, the little blurb out basically saying they're gonna be working more, we're putting double the crew, this, that, and other. It wasn't until then we started seeing people, but they're still sitting around. Like, there's 2 maybe working and 10 delegating. So I think that's the hard part, is we see, and I get, you explained it, and I understand there's only one thing that can be done before 2, 3, and 4 can be addressed. We don't see that when we're driving across and we're frustrated. We just see all these people sitting on top of the little things all around, just watching everyone.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, there is times that it looks like they're not busy, but with what they're doing, a lot of times, like I said, today, for example, they were waiting for delivery. So, yes.
Right, I
they're
know,
gonna-
there's a
right.
lot that we don't
Yeah.
see behind the scenes whatsoever. And so I do have but it took that notification for us to start seeing stuff. And we should have been seeing stuff 6 months ago when they took this job. And coming from a city on the West Coast, the way the city ran with all that, because the way things work whenever you need to get something contracted is you put it out there. You don't usually take the lowest bid. You know, there's stipulations in, if you don't make that deadline, like we were told middle of February. Well, that came and went. Now it's spring. That's a broad spectrum. But if Lee County or FDOT had their ducks in a row on that aspect, that February 12th that they originally quoted you that they would have it done and agreed to, they should be fined every day after that. And if they finished early, yes, the city we came from, we gave bonuses to the, like the one person said at one of the very first things. And if that's not getting done, maybe that's something in the future so we don't have all of that.
We've talked about that already. So we
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so as for the medical, I know a lot of people are kind of worrying about the medical ambulances.
Right.
Well, I just know they get off the island. My daughter's one of them. So they do make exceptions only for life flight when needed. So it's not that that ever gets neglected here on the island. So you can't blame them for that. Because they'll skip all the traffic.
Okay, just for everybody's time, hopefully you have a question that's new and innovative here. If you don't have one and we're just gonna rehash and we're just gonna, I have to agree with Rob. We're all, you know, upset about this and we wanna express our frustration, but it just needs to be a question that hasn't been addressed so far, so go ahead.
Do you have a question?
I don't,
Okay, thank you. My turn.
yes.
My question to you is, when you first started this project, did you take into consideration in the time frame in the bidding process for the volume of cars per minute, per hour, per day, per week, per month, per year? And if you don't have an answer, I'm more than concerned. Your answer, please.
There's no answer to that question. Of course, we took into account the traffic. Again,
Okay, thank you. You answered the question.
Yeah.
Took us out. When you take an hour on any given day from Publix or from the opposite end, what was your ratio that you took into consideration? Be specific, please. And let me tell you something.
we took
Excuse me, one more thing. For 30-some years, I was involved in quite a number of things relative to what you're doing.
All right, so we're just not going to go back and forth like
No,
this.
we're not going back and forth.
It's
I'm
just
just
not
wanting that
happening.
question.
We took a road that carries 9,000 to 18,000 cars a day, two ways, down to one lane. It had to happen for this project to move forward. There was going to be congestion. There was going to be pain. We tried to make all the work happen outside of season. We completely understand. There's no question here. There's no discussion point. We're not going to go back and forth like this.
No,
The
it's not a question, it's a
project
matter
is
of-
super inconvenient. We understand.
It's just, what did you anticipate it to be? That's my question. I heard all the other.
We
things before.
anticipated it to be a one-lane road
I understand
that's
that.
alternating traffic, that was going to be congested.
And what was
Absolutely.
the anticipated wait time to get through?
Again, we're done. Next question,
Excuse
sir.
me?
Yeah, we're
That's
moving
quite dis-
on.
whoa, time out.
We're moving on, sir. There's no answer to your question.
Well, there is a question.
And it provides no useful benefit at this point. Okay? So we're going to move on to the next
Second question I have
gentleman.
now. You said there's Florida DOT here?
They're here.
Why don't you have them up here to answer questions?
Again, I already addressed that.
No, you didn't.
I did. I absolutely did. The FDOT team is in the room. These are the people who are boots on the ground that are doing the work. Okay? the FDOT team that's here is overseeing multiple projects. This is the team that's overseeing this project. Okay? This is boots on the ground. These are the best people to answer your questions.
Okay. You say boots on the ground. How often are you there on site per week? Individually?
The Hardesty and Hanover team is here every day while there's construction activity happening.
Pardon me?
When there's construction activity happening, the FDOT CEI team is here. They're here while the contractor's on site, while work is happening, they are here.
Is this the gentleman that's on site, sir?
What's the point of the question?
Are you the one that's on site, sir?
I am on site, not 60 hours a week, no.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, this is more innovative.
Yeah, this is,
I have a new question I'd like to ask. I've been waiting all night to ask, and it hasn't been asked.
Okay. You mentioned the core permit. Could that be amended so to help speed up the project?
The pile driving's done now.
Okay.
Yep.
And so you don't have to worry about the core anymore.
In phase 2, we will.
In phase 2, you will.
But
Okay.
you're going to be in 2 lanes of traffic at that point.
Yeah, I understand that part. I worked for DOT, so I understand all the requirements. Okay, I just want to make sure it was a new question and what were the constraints? That's all. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
thanks.
Thanks. I'm one of the guys that, waiting for my home to get across that bridge, been waiting since August. In January, my manufacturer sent a request to you people, or in December, as to a date when it'd be done that they could build the home. You said January 31st. They built the home, now it's mine, it's paid for. I have to pay storage and insurance at $870 a month. Now, your answer was, thank you for, if I can read this thing. Thank you for reaching out to the Florida Department of Transportation with your question. Please, phase 1 of the bridge construction will be completed, open back up to 2-lane traffic by January 31st, 2025. Now here's my question. Your next sentence says there are clauses in the contract allowing liquidated damages to be assessed should they not reach that commitment. Are those liquidated damages my $870 a month? Those are reasonable damages that are caused to me by the delay in your bridge. Right.
Which is why
Are my $870 a month, is those liquidated?
The question is, does the public, like him, who is, he's paying money, is there any recourse for him with the state?
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm sorry.
Would the FDOT guy know?
I don't think so.
I mean,
Can you give me an answer to that question? Somebody get back to us?
I don't know where LDs go. I've been on jobs where LDs have been assessed liquidated damages, charges to the contractor. They go back, they get deducted from their estimates into the contract. I do not know what FDOT does with that money. It may go back into the work program. What you're saying sounds like something, again, I'm not an expert at that. I don't think that's something that LDs pays for, but your question or your concern can definitely be addressed or sent to FDOT.
So the answer is no. Liquidated damages, they aren't given back to the community. But let's talk more about your mobile home and how we can try to coordinate getting your mobile home across to your property.
Yeah.
You know, I'll give you my email address as soon as this meeting is over, and you can shoot me an email. I will have my oversized low team coordinate with you. If there is something we can do to achieve getting your mobile home delivered at night during the foreseeable, really fast, we will make that happen for you. Okay?
I appreciate that, but
Yeah,
it's got to be lifted, and that's $15,000. That's the problem. I could have had it.
I
If I'd
understand.
have known the bridge wasn't going to be done January 21st, I'd have probably paid the $15 last year and moved it.
Right.
But based
understood.
on your email answer that it would be done, they built it. Now I'm stuck with storage and insurance until the bridge is done.
I'll see Rob after, he'll give you his email.
I'll give you my email address.
Thank you.
Yep.
Last question.
As the last speaker, I'm not going to ask you any more questions. I'm just going to ask the audience to use a little common sense. They're going to get the bridge done when it's done. We've been dealing with this for 2 years. It's taken me since December of 23. I have crossed the bridge 4 days a week for chemo and radiation.
It takes between 20 minutes and 58 minutes to get across the bridge. Plan on 45 minutes, and it's done. It's simple. Common sense.
Thank you guys for your time.
Well, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Hey, Steve, can I ask you a question? Yeah, thanks. So I'm Steve Eldridge. So play a little game with you, and I'm being a little facetious here. So the lady said, we want you done by June 19th. And you said, your response was, yes, we're ahead of it. If I said, I want you done by June 18th, what would you say?
Let me do this, right? Because I know what you guys want, and I need to get that from people. So let me go talk to people and see if I can give you a
But I
date.
guess my point is, the point I'm really trying to make is we could work this back, and I could ask you every day, so June 17th, and you'd say we're ahead of it. So implicit in you saying we're ahead of that, you know a number. You sort of know.
We're gonna start liquidated damages.
I get it.
Look, we're gonna start charging liquidated damages.
And we're talking about this stuff, and we're getting to the point where once we get to a point where we can give you your bid. We're getting very close. That's what I'm gonna tell you. We're gonna get the contract.
Yes, that's what
Well, I can't speak on it.
Hi, do you have any more of those cards?
Yes, they're right there
You got
on
them
the
over there.
table,
Okay,
and I
very
can
good.
leave them.
Oh,
If-
okay,
if you
perfect.
need it, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
If you need it more, just let Caitlin know